What's up, guys? This is Chris from DraftDashboard.com. Here are my DFS picks for NBA Wednesday, January 27th. These picks apply for DraftKings and FanDuel. Before I get started, please drop a like on this video and hit that red subscribe button and hit that bell icon so you don't miss our new videos. In this video, I'm going to go over my top picks for today's NBA slate. And if you stick around to the very end of this video, we'll use the Draft Dashboard tools to make a DFS lineup using the picks we just made. Okay guys, let's take a look at the point guard position. I like Chris Paul from the Phoenix Suns playing the Oklahoma City Thunder, who have the third worst defense overall, and they give up the 12th most fantasy points to opposing point guards. Chris Paul has averaged 34.3 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 33 minutes per game with a 21% usage rate. He scored 55, 37, and 26 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 42, 38, and 30 minutes. He scored 45 and 48 fantasy points in the last 2 games versus the Oklahoma City Thunder, and he's projected at 43 fantasy points here tonight. That's 5.8 times value. He's $7,400 FanDuel salary and $200 more on DraftKings. So I like Chris Paul here versus the Oklahoma City Thunder. Okay, let's take a look at the shooting guard position. I like Jeremy Lamb from the Indiana Pacers playing the Charlotte Hornets, who have the 4th worst defense overall. And although they've been pretty good versus opposing shooting guards, Jeremy Lamb has averaged 26.3 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 25 minutes per game with a 23% usage rate. He scored 34, 19, and 35 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 32, 19, and 28 minutes. He's projected at 34 fantasy points here tonight, and that's 6.5 times value. He's $5,200 FanDuel salary and $100 less on DraftKings. So I like Jeremy Lamb here versus the Charlotte Hornets. Okay, who do we have at the small forward position? I like Brandon Ingram from the New Orleans Pelicans playing the Washington Wizards, who have the 2nd worst defense overall, and they're middle of the pack defending opposing small forwards. Brandon Ingram has averaged 38.7 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 35 minutes per game with a 28% usage rate. He scored 34, 29, and 32 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 36, 33, and 35 minutes. He had a 33% usage rate last game, and he's projected at 38.7 fantasy points here tonight. That's 5.2 times value. He's $7,500 FanDuel salary and $500 more on DraftKings. So I like Brandon Ingram here versus the Washington Wizards. Okay, let's take a look at the power forward position. I like Jarrett Allen from the Cleveland Cavaliers playing the Detroit Pistons, who have the 9th worst defense overall, and they give up the 7th most fantasy points to opposing power forwards. Jarrett Allen has averaged 29.9 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 27 minutes per game with a 16% usage rate. He scored 16, 26, and 24 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 28, 25, and 19 minutes. He's projected at 29.8 fantasy points here tonight. That's 5.7 times value. He's $5,200 FanDuel salary and $100 more on DraftKings. So I like Jarrett Allen here versus the Cleveland Cavaliers. Real quick, guys, I got great news. For a limited time, we're offering a full 30-day trial to Draft Dashboard. You can try all of our DFS tools for all sports. You can try the Position Optimizer, where you can see the top players ranked for each position. And we added a new Player Trends tool, where you can see the top salary differences between FanDuel and DraftKings. It's a really good tool to help you pick out value for the site that you're playing on. Oh, and if you're tired of doing research every day, we just added a cheat sheet that shows hand-picked plays for the slate. No confusing stat lines, no headaches, just a simple cheat sheet that shows the absolute best players for your lineups. Now, I'm going to give you a value play here. I like Khem Birch from the Orlando Magic playing the Sacramento Kings, who have the absolute worst defense overall, and they give up the 12th most fantasy points to opposing power forwards. Khem Birch has averaged 19.8 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 22 minutes per game with a 13% usage rate. But he scored 24, 20, and 17 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 25, 19, and 27 minutes. He's projected at 20.9 fantasy points here tonight. That's 5.4 times value. He's only $3,900 FanDuel salary and 100 less on DraftKings. Vegas thinks there's going to be 221 points scored in this game, so I like Khem Birch here versus the Sacramento Kings. Okay, moving on to the center position. I like Andre Drummond from the Cleveland Cavaliers playing the Detroit Pistons, who have the 9th worst defense overall, and they give up the 7th most fantasy points to opposing centers. Andre Drummond has averaged 45.1 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 30 minutes per game with a 32% usage rate. He scored 45, 20, and 49 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 28, 17, and 27 minutes. He's projected at 43.1 fantasy points here tonight. That's 4.9 times value. He's $8,800 FanDuel salary and 400 less on DraftKings. So I like that DraftKings price. So I like Andre Drummond here versus the Detroit Pistons. Okay, now I'm going to give you a center that I like on DraftKings. I like DeAndre Ayton from the Phoenix Suns playing the Oklahoma City Thunder, who have the 3rd worst defense overall, and they give up the 9th most fantasy points to opposing centers. DeAndre Ayton has averaged 35.4 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 32 minutes per game with a 20% usage rate. He scored 37, 47, and 64 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 37, 37, and 35 minutes. He's projected at 36.4 fantasy points here tonight. Now on FanDuel, that's only 4.4 times value because he's $8,300 FanDuel salary, but he's 1,000 less on DraftKings. So you're looking at 5 times value or more on DraftKings. Great matchup here. He's been on fire. So I like DeAndre Ayton on DraftKings here versus the Oklahoma City Thunder. And one more center. I know I've given you a player from the Pacers already, but I like Miles Turner from the Indiana Pacers playing the Charlotte Hornets, who have the 4th worst defense overall, and they give up the 13th most fantasy points to opposing centers. Miles Turner has averaged 39.5 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 33 minutes per game with an 18% usage rate. He scored 43, 53, and 41 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 32, 36, and 42 minutes. He's projected at 42.1 fantasy points here tonight. That's 5.9 times value. He's $7,100 FanDuel salary and 400 more on DraftKings. So I like Miles Turner here versus the Charlotte Hornets. If you want to try all these daily fantasy tools for yourself, click the link in the description below this video or just go to draftdashboard.com. You can use our DFS lineup optimizer to build quality lineups using our picks and your own custom player pool. Click the link in the description below this video and try all these daily fantasy tools right now. Thanks so much for watching. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel and hit that bell icon so you can get instant updates whenever we post a new video. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this video, please smickety smash that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Oh, and please comment below with your favorite player for this NBA slate. I love to hear what you guys have to think. Thanks again, and good luck.